Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet. Today we're getting to some more Tower of God Webtoon, and we're in the middle of fighting Kaiser and the wolf dog puppy. I feel like we should make friends, but at the same time it's a little bit precarious at the moment because we're trying not to bleed to death. That's the main goal that Bum has at the moment. I hope that works out for him. He's been impaled before and just brushed it off. So maybe it'll work out this time too. We gotta save some hostages. So that's what we have, but we gotta properly get everybody out of this station and everything. You know what I mean? Just look at that shot, but don't bleed out. Yeah, we need to and also not go for the one place that seems intentionally a trap. I feel like if there's a big open space intentionally left there, that maybe we should know that it's some kind of trap. Thank you. The number of times it's been hey, Bum, I'm pretty sure this is obviously a trap. And he's been like, oh, I know. I'm gonna do it anyway, though. Boy, can we not risk our life every 30 chapters or so? Even if I have to take great risks. Boy, what did I just say? I feel like he can't hear me. He's useless. The number of times it's been that would have been useful information for us to have known before we got here. Oh, cool. We have a teleportation ability. That's not gonna become an issue in about the next half a second. Okay, so it's how Dorsey doesn't have strictly a teleportation, but she has the little device thing. Oof. What a shot though. I love the way that taking advantage of the scroll of the panels. Yeah, he's just gonna go for it anyway. The obvious trap that we just decided to be part of anyway. Be really bad if we got attacked by this wolf again and ended up continuing to bleed profusely. Yeah, if only we had known that before. Guy who's supposed to give us information. Oh, we had the whole name stealing thing. Is it gonna work though? Because again, what is his name? Yes, we figured that out, Kun. Thank you for the exposition. At least there's a time delay a little bit. Fight back, my guy. You're not the only one who can move fast. Dang. The way that we're I'm just gonna go for the kick. I'm gonna go for the headshot. He did say he couldn't hold back anymore. He's got stuff going on. Dramatic. Oh dear. But don't bleed out though. I think he's just mildly frustrated. Boy, you just have an awful wound on your foot that won't heal unless we win. And I feel like that's going to hinder us in the whole being speedy thing because we've got a little bit of a time limit going on. And he's just mildly put out. He's just mad. Also, that's a perfectly good pair of shoes. I love that Kun is just rage mode because he can't get involved. So he's just shouting things. Oh, are we pointing at the fact that we're calling him Violet sometimes and Bum other times? Look, I'm just calling him Bum. And I've had people be like, his name is Violet now. And I'm like, who knows what his name is? Okay, he was Bum first to me. He will continue to be. Almost. So how did she actually end up losing her name? Oh, is that, it said almost. So I'm like, is it actually the ability she was talking about or was it something else? I don't know. Yeah, the bong bong. I was like, it reminds me of that. Ah. So there was a loophole. He doesn't like being given ultimatums. I love that we're getting the tracking. Okay, I don't love that he's bleeding out, but I think that it's a cool effect to have the tracking because one, it reminds us that he has the injuries, and two is adding dynamics into the panel, especially since his abilities tend to be blue colored. So the contrast with the red is aesthetically quite nice. Emotionally, because I'm too invested in the series, not so much. That's a cool panel too. Maybe I just like the panels where there's lots of stuff going on. He won't. He can't. Partly because he's too stubborn, and partly because he's our protagonist. Ooh, the observation of this opponent seems lacking compared to some of the other stuff we've gone up against. It's a good point, though. I feel like going up against Joaquin was so stressful because, and I think part of it is the lack of empathy, right? Despite all of Kaiser's flaws, and there are many of them, I'm not going to forget the fact that we own and sell people. That's messed up. Right? But there is this sense of empathy and guilt and all of that, which you don't get with Joaquin. Joaquin's just, I'm gonna kill this person because I feel like it, right? Why not? There's no rhyme or reason. It's just to see what happens. So it's dealing with an opponent like that, where they're so unhinged and they have such a lack of empathy and compassion for human life. There's no value to human life other than how does it serve him. So if you're not useful, might as well kill you, get you out of the way, right? That's how his brain works. So it's so different going up against someone like that as opposed to someone like Kaiser who has more baggage and empathy and personal justification for what she's doing, as opposed to Joaquin who's just, I'm doing it because I'm a god. Why else? Yeah, I assume it would be. You got bitten by a giant wolf. Yeah, we're gonna have to speed this up. Maybe part of the reason we're not getting hit is because we're not trying, hoping that he'll give up, or are we just in a flow state? Yeah, I like that we're bringing other stuff because I don't feel like I'm actually in danger at this point. I feel like I figured out how to dodge. So might as well do some more tricks. We've gotten used to it. It's again, like I've said before about like Bam, his whole like his I think his best asset is that he's really good at seeing how someone does something and figuring out how it works. Right? Whether that's like any kind of ability or strategy or technique or whatever. And we're seeing that a little bit throughout the fight where it's like the labels of different attacks, where he got those abilities from. And obviously there's lots of training and stuff that has also gone onto it. He's not like, he just has to figure it out a little bit. But the fact that he's so good at mimicking what other people can do and incorporating it into his own style is part of what makes him really difficult to go up against. Because how do you fight someone who understands how your ability works? A lot of the abilities, especially with Kaiser here, with having this secret ability and this secret ability and this secret, right, is the element of surprise. Whereas as soon as Bam figures out how those work, it's a lot easier for him to navigate around them. And I think that is one of the best assets that he has, despite like immense power that he has in comparison to a lot of other people around him in terms of the regulars going through the tower. I think that his ability to figure out how people's abilities work quickly is part of what really makes him stand out. He can figure it out now. The battle has gone on long enough that he's starting to figure out how it works. That's cool. I like seeing how he's figuring out. Ooh, that's a cool shot. The reflection. Nice. Are we going to catch them? Is that the next thing we're doing? We catching the weapons and using them? That's wild. Yeah, agreed. Look, anyone who when you're fighting them, they're like, I'm gonna catch your weapon with my bare hands is wild, but having an invisible inventory and someone just reaches out and grabs it, I'd be like, what's happening? What? Huh? His spidey sense is too strong. Oh yeah, we got like a bunch of other stuff going on too. I forgot that there was a training montage somewhere in there. Catching any weapon with your bare hands is intimidating. Yeah, you can. You got this, probably. Quickly though, we're still bleeding out. I'm still worried. Ooh. I also find it so interesting, one, to be like, oh, they're raising a monster, right? Like they're crafting a monster. And I think that's interesting given kind of the back and forth between like monster and god, right? That seems to happen depending on how people see Bam. And then of course like the middle ground of like person that you get from people like Kun and Rock and like the people who are close to him. But it's really interesting with a character like Kaiser to be like, oh, this person is naturally talented. They're naturally special in a way that I was supposed to be. And it didn't work out the way that it was supposed to because I didn't fall in line. I didn't pass the test. And technically Bam hasn't either, but in a way that it has turned out okay for him. And I'm sure that is, I don't know, getting under our skin. That tends to people who crave being special and wanting to be interesting and to see stars, not that I'm salty, tend to be a little bit upset about Bam being special and powerful naturally. Ooh, interesting to say blessed. Again, like the difference between like monster god. I also think it's interesting to have Bam say, I won't be forced into a single route either. That's so much of his life has been people telling him, you have to do this. Like I said, he doesn't like ultimatums. He doesn't like when people are like, this or that you have to choose. And he's, no, I'm not going to do that. A whole part of his journey has been like figuring out his freedom and making choices for himself and figuring out what he wants, separated from everyone else. So saying, I don't want to be forced into a single route that I have to take, and that may or may not end up dire for me. Dang, what a way to transition back to this fight going on. That's a cool shot too. I feel like Hats needs a moment to just be cool because he hasn't really had a chance in a while. Oh, okay, sure. Just dropping that little plot crumb right at the end of this. Fine. So I guess we're picking up with Hats. I was just saying, I'm like, he needs to have a moment where he gets to be cool. Because boy, is he had a few moments where he's just wandering around or getting defeated by Kun. Oh my gosh, something weird happening that definitely shouldn't be the way that things work, but that never happens with our main cast. Also, our boy Hats doesn't lie. He's got that whole like integrity thing going on. Seems a bit reckless to not want control. Like nothing to do nowadays. We do run into a lot of princesses considering they're supposed to have better things to be doing. Or are we just that important now? We're just getting rid of the incentive to fight? Like, what do you mean you didn't fill me in on what's going on? Ooh, rumors, reputation. That's always important to keep in mind. Yeah, don't be obsessed with Violet. That does not turn out well for most princesses. I like that. Don't play dumb. Not with Shibisu as well. He knows things. He pays attention. I don't know which side you're on, but I know that you've chosen one. Shibisu always knows what's going on, even though he's goofy. He knows. Oh, there's so much going on. There's so many people. Yeah, you're not gonna say, because why would you not end on a cliffhanger somewhere? See, like, that's cool. Like, again, I don't want him to be bleeding out, but if you're gonna have it aesthetically lining up with the, like, weapons and, like, the movement and everything, use it as a way of showing, like, the way that he's moving around this environment. Still managing to dodge? I love the like I can see it. And I think it's so interesting too for him to be able to see like invisible weapons, considering everything that Bam has gone through. That I think the symbolism of that is really great. Not just before when it was like, I don't want to be confined to a single route, a single path forward. But he's also only able to do that because he can see the invisible weapons coming at him and dodge them. The symbolism of that, considering all the plot, beautiful. Ooh, don't get hit by that though, ideally. It's a cool blade though, especially the greens. I do just like green though. Did we throw it or did it just miss and hit her? Usually one strike doesn't work out the way that you want it to. We still doing okay? Because it seems like we're getting a little bit tangled up and everything. It's so cool too to have the threads from the weapons in contrast to the like motion streaks that are happening. There's so much happening in the movement of these panels, which is, I know, a little bit of a contradiction given that they're still frames, but there's so much movement that we can see in the way that the panels are drawn that I think lends so well to the kind of chaos of this fight, right? Instead of like just a blur motion, which we get like a little bit of, and that's like what these streaks of movement are, but it fills in the background so you don't have to draw all of it, which is also probably nice given some of the constraints of just being able to draw that many panels. But it's also just showing that constant motion that Bam is in comparison to the other panels where we like cut to Kun or something, right? Whoa. Are we breaking weapons now? We're catching up with our bare hands and we're just getting rid of them because he's like, enough is enough. Oh, are we getting angry again? That's a crazy shot too. Again, like the reds and everything contrast to like the cooler tones with Kaiser. I don't know if that would make her fit in with her family though. I don't know if they'd care. But like, I understand where your heart's at. Again, considering they're like, man, this family member we had is just kept prisoner, but they're making us a bunch of money, so we're just gonna leave them there. These are the people we're talking about. Are we doing okay? Ooh, again, interesting having like the greens and like the red contrast. The color choices and the contrasts, so good. But also really interesting to have, again, those two things of Bam being like, I don't want to be confined to a specific path forward. And then Kaiser being like, I very much want to have that path forward. Part of the reason that we have the kind of identity crisis with Kaiser is I was supposed to be on this path, right? That was like my entire life was about me becoming one of the princesses. And then when I suddenly didn't have that anymore, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. I didn't know what my purpose was. And wanting to have that certainty again. I don't know, does your family want you or are you just a tool? Like a useful thing for them? You make money for them. I don't know. You still seem like you're letting your emotions dictate your actions. Or like loyalty to people who don't necessarily deserve that loyalty. Also a fair point of me being like, this is someone who wants the certainty, but like the one time they made a decision, right? The one time that Kaiser was like, I'm going to make my own decision and choose what my path forward might look like. It ended in betrayal and losing everything and being imprisoned. So I can also get being like, hey, if I just fix the problem, everything will be fine. But you haven't sacrificed yourself. You've sacrificed your morality, but ooh, maybe we don't keep getting injured though. Ooh, yeah, I'm stressed too. Oh yeah, we're still trying to take his name. I keep forgetting that's part of it. I have no idea what's going on. Ah, okay, we grabbed an arm so that you can't keep switching around on us. Also, that's okay. For all of my beautiful symbolism, the breaking a glass ceiling is like a little bit on the nose. At least from like an English speaker perspective. Interesting though to have the like dancing on top of people, stepping on people, using other people to climb higher for yourself. Oof. You know it's bad when we're using a ginseng ability, right? True. We also hide our face and don't use our real name. Damn, Bam! This is what I mean. I'm like, you know it's bad when we're using a ginseng ability. Did we just blow a hole in the side of the building? Oh, we like straight up caused destruction. If we were going for subtlety, that is no longer an option. Wow. Did we break the mask? Symbolism. Also getting some of the sky behind him. Always those points of light that he's reaching for. Bum doesn't kill people, so at least you usually. So you got that going for you. Ooh. That would be crazy. Like in a world of names having power and collecting names and like names having so much weight, right, to this whole station. Do you even remember the people that you're so desperate to get the approval of? Yeah, besides your family name. Do you remember who you are? Which again, from someone like Bam / Violet / who knows, depending on the day, having someone who's, what is your like your real name? Who are you really? What is the core of who you are? Do you even remember? Are we actually going to get a name? Or is it just, I don't remember? Yeah. And I think it's so interesting to have I can't remember. We're like on the side, like one like the tear, but we're on the side where the mask is cracked. It's not showing like the face of Kaiser anymore. Yeah, it's like losing who you are because you're so single-mindedly like going after something. like what other people want. The symbolism, again, of devoting your entire life for other people and what they want and what they approve of and how they're going to react to what you're doing, to the point where like you lose yourself along the way. You don't even know who you are anymore because everything you do is for somebody else's benefit, which Bomb has some experience with. Really liked those chapters. I usually do, but I really like the symbolism of them. I think that it shows a ton of growth for who Bomb is like a character, right? How he looks at the world, how he looks at himself, how he's starting to build his own moral code, right? And I think especially going up against someone like Kaiser, whose whole thing is like, how do I do something for other people, what they want? How do I get their approval? Building yourself and who you are as a person off of what someone else wants you to be, right? Kind of molding you into something. And we even had the line from Kaiser of, oh, Foog is making a monster. They're creating something. And having Bomb then turn it around and be like, no, actually, I'm not doing this because of Rachel. I'm not doing this because of Foog. I'm not doing this because someone has told me this is who you are. This is who you're supposed to be. Despite the fact that I might be following orders to some extent or like following paths that people have helped me on, right? He has people who are like there to advise him and direct him, like he has guides and stuff like that, right? Like he has people in his life who are going to help him pick a direction that he wants to go in, right? In order to get what he's going after, right? What path do I have to take? But he's still making decisions for himself, right? He's doing things for like his own approval and his own happiness and his own ends in a way that he didn't for a huge part of the story. So him then going up against someone who was in kind of the same vein in terms of what he was like earlier on, especially at the beginning of like season 2, right? When we first were introduced to like Violet and like who he was through that persona, and he ends justify the means of him being like, I'll do anything that Foog tells me because I need to protect my friends, right? Same thing with Kaiser here. I'll do anything in protection of my family and the people that I care about. So I think it's really interesting to have that switch there of what does it actually mean to literally having like Bomb like fight an alternate version of him, right? Someone who's like literally trapped in like a prison of sorts, and him very much feeling that way while being Violet and everything that happened earlier on. I think that it's just like a great way of like full circle kind of moment to show how much growth he's had as a character. But I hope you enjoyed reading that along with me. You can click this playlist to go into my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so next time I post a Tower of God video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.